Hey everybody, welcome to Your Unpaid Therapist.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Your Unpaid Therapist.
I'm not getting paid. I didn't even get a donut.
Oh, that's sexy though. I like it.
I'm Valery Milagros Ortiz.
I don't know. I am your host, Alikona. She's away. Bradford.
This is Your Unpaid Therapist. Shoo-wah, cha-cha.
Welcome to Your Unpaid Therapist. I'm Val. That's Alikona. You know us, hopefully. And today, you guys, we're going to talk about the thought of why men love bitches or why women love D-bags. And before you get your feathers all ruffled up, it's deeper than what you think. But we're going to get into our Never Have I Evers before we get into the details. Okay, Never Have I Ever. I'm shuffling. Pick a card.
Let's go first blue one next to the pink one.
Okay. Never have I ever, wait a minute, fallen on my face in public, literally on my face.
Oh my God. Yes, I have. Not on my face though. Okay, so once upon a time in band camp, I was in this show where I entered on an ATV and I felt like such a badass, even though the only thing I knew how to do was go in a circle. And so I did my circle and I went up on this big dirt mound and I was supposed to like, and instead and it like hit the dirt mound the wrong way and the thing like literally flew off of the pod. I flew into the air. It kicked me up. I did a barrel roll like a log. And I just remember going like, oh, hey, we're going to boom. And I hit the ground and then I was on my feet again. But it happens so fast. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I don't think anybody else noticed. So I walked over to my host and he handed me my mic and I was like, it's okay. Like, he's like, just go. And I'm like, welcome to the show, blah, blah. And later on I said, you think everybody thought I was like a stunt person and like that was on purpose? And he was like, yeah, no, like, look at your body. And I had flour, actually. So they make the finish line out of like baking flour, and I had flour all over my body.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the audience.
How painful was it? That sounds so painful.
It wasn't. It happened, like I said, so fast. Maybe like the next day my neck hurt, but I know it happened fast because the guy who was the manager of the tour was doing one of these and someone was like, Allie down, and he turned around and I was already standing up and he thought it was a joke. What are you talking about? She's right there. They had to do a playback of the show and he's like, oh shit. So yeah.
Well, I have never fallen on my face like that. Thank goodness. This is how we know Alikona is like a stunt extraordinaire. She's like, and I'm going to keep posting while I just fell off ATV.
Right.
Okay. Never have I, I'm going to pick a card. Never have I ever waited overnight in line to see a movie.
Oh.
That's a no for me. Definitely not to see a movie. And I can't even think of a movie that I would even wait in line for. But what I did wait in line for is Black Friday deals with my mom and a cousin, just because there was some like I want to say it was a washer and dryer that was on sale, and yeah, we did it. We were those people, but it was really fun. Like, I want to say we brought like snacks, like my mom had hot chocolate packed up, like it was a thing.
This is in Florida? No. Is this in Florida?
Yeah, in Florida.
Oh, okay. So like your Thanksgiving.
No, it was cold, girl. It gets cold in Florida.
Oh, okay. Well then never.
Yeah, in the winter and stuff, it can get cold. I mean, cold to us.
Okay.
Cold.
All right.
So you've never?
No.
Okay. Well, in that case,
let's get
what'd you say?
I said, let's get to it.
Oh yeah, let's get to it. So I was gifted this very special literature years ago by a cousin that I'm not going to say her name. She was like, don't, ever let anybody see it, blah, blah, blah. So I covered it. And if you're not watching the video version, I'm putting it up and there's a picture of J-Lo. It's like a magazine. On the back, it's Eva Longoria, and it has like, just, I don't know, some magazine. But the book is called Why Men Love Bitches. And it's definitely, like, the beginning of the book, quickly, it says, this isn't like the bitch that you're thinking about, right? This is talking about don't take it too seriously. I'm using the word in tongue-in-cheek way, representative of the humorous tone of the book. So it's super, it uses it as like what society, and I feel like a lot of us have heard the terminology
Right.
bitch. What would you, when you hear that, what do you think of?
Well, encompassed in why men love bitches, like you think of that girl who like just like da 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 da. That's not a good description, but just like mean, like just mean
Mean.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, so it's not talking about a mean girl. It's talking about a woman who isn't a doormat, and that's, she references to the doormat often in the book, and who is just too nice. And just gives too much of herself, loses herself in relationships, which I remember when my cousin gave me this book, I was definitely that girl. And it's funny because even you, Alikona, have said like that I am very kind of like, this is what I want. I'm not afraid. Yes. So if you're not watching the video,
The
she's
chop chop chop
how
chop
would you? Yeah, she's chopping her hand. Yeah, like I'm very clear with what I want, what I need, boundaries, all that. But that wasn't me. I feel like I was very close to the doormat, and I feel like you've described yourself as that. Not, you haven't said I'm a doormat, but you're so nice. You
Yeah.
are the nice girl.
Yeah. And I think
Would you?
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, would you say you like d bags?
Unintentionally not like, ooh, that guy looks douchey. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go for that. But I, woo.
And so we defined what a bitch is, or what we thought a bitch is. So what would you, hearing that, like, what would you define as a D bag?
Okay, so for those who don't know,
There
we're
was a
saying
book.
douchebag for the D.
Mm-hmm.
But a douchebag to me is somebody on the surface. If you just say that, I think of somebody who'd be like on Jersey Shore. For those of you who are not old
Yeah.
enough for that reference, like just a guy who's super arrogant and
A bro. I feel like
a
this generation
bro.
would know bro. A
Exactly.
bro,
That's what I
right?
think of. But as you and I were talking, and I had shared this article with Valerie, and I very much identify with it because it was just saying how when you think also too of a girl who's like with a douchebag, you think like, oh, she must be a doormat and she just doesn't think she deserves better and blah, 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 blah. But this article that was written by a psychologist was saying that's not necessarily the case. Like there's a lot of women who are very smart, beautiful, successful, all the things, and they have a tendency to go towards toxic men. And I thought that was fascinating because it was just saying those
Yeah.
women, yeah, like they tend to go for like, I don't know, like maybe he's like super good looking, this, that, and the third, but he's lazy or he's not like emotionally available. But you're used to working so hard for everything in life that it doesn't necessarily occur to you. And you don't enter the relationship like, yeah, that's a toxic guy. Yes, yes, please. But it's like you get involved, you know what I mean? Like, but you get involved
Give
with
me
the
one
person.
of those.
I know. Oh man, I love it when you talk mean to me. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, so in the book, and exact in that article that you're talking about, I related to that because not that I was in a toxic relationship, but they say, or was it he, she? I don't remember.
she.
She says that we don't like to fail. And so we often create this story that ending the relationship is a failure. And that another thing that she references is that we don't want to lose our investment. And we perceive that the alternative route is not beneficial to where we are in our current state because of all the time, maybe money, whatever, years that we've invested. So these very strong, independent go-getters are like, man, like I got this, like I'm not letting this go, like I can work a little harder.
Mhm.
And we stay in these situations that maybe aren't ideal, because it can get better.
Right. Well, what's crazy is you said that and you saying that out loud to me rewounded my brain into other episodes that we've done in the past. And I remember you specifically saying that when you were talking about going through your divorce and feeling like a
Mm.
failure. So I
Oh
was like,
yeah,
oh wow, like it's
it
so
was
true.
huge.
Yeah.
And that word, I mean obviously it's heavy, but I've never given up on something. I've never failed. Obviously you don't, in my career, our career, uh we have a lot of interviews, you know, like a lot of people think, you know, acting's this one thing or entertainment, but it's like, imagine going on like thousands of interviews and only getting like one of them once in a while, you know?
Mhm.
So I'm used to quote unquote maybe feeling like I don't consider that failing, but other people may, right? In the corporate world, like, oh my gosh, I've had 1,000 interviews, I didn't get one job. But in the relationship aspect, I never felt like I'd give up, especially when you do vows and things like that. You know, you're just like, oh my gosh,
Yeah. I
I'm
also
giving up.
was gonna say, I also think too, like with toxic relationships, like I was saying, you don't go into it and it's like toxic right off the bat. Like a lot of times these guys are very charming and kind and good. They're all the things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like maybe over time stuff happens because you as a person, and I've had this happen in more than one relationship where you evolve. Like always a personal growth person. And maybe that has
Yeah.
stems with some subconscious like lack of worthiness or not enoughness, so I have to keep going and growing or whatever it motivates me to do. The point is I'm always taking a class or doing a meditation or learning how to be better. But when you do
Mm-hmm.
that, you do become more aware and you do better, better, better. Then you notice the things that are not sufficient or not okay. And if your partner is not willing to grow with you, then you out evolve your partner. But
Yeah.
and then what? Then you're like, well, maybe I can get them to evolve too. And that's like not their jam. So
Right, right, right. And just to be clear, my relationships in the past they weren't toxic, not even necessarily.
no.
They weren't toxic, they just weren't um my ideal and what I wanted, and also very other specific things that are what this episode is about. But I just wanted to preface that. But yeah, I think, and especially you're such a go-getter. And which is interesting because you're very much this go-getter, and you do take all the classes, and you stay so relevant and the reference I thought of right now was like oiled up, like ready. Um, but then in relationships, I could see you know, you just want to please, you know. Um, one of the quotes in the book that I loved and is sex appeal is 50% what you've got and 50% what people think you've got.
Ah,
And the beginning of this chapter says from doormat to dream girl. Um, and essentially it's, you know, it's making sure that you don't have to give him all the cards,
yeah,
him or her, right?
yeah,
Whatever.
yeah, yeah,
And don't always appear to care too much. Not because you can't care too much, but you're not trying to make them your world.
yeah.
Um, and it says, oh, the nice girl makes the mistake of being available all the time.
Okay, let's talk about this, Valerie. Okay, because
Mm-hmm.
and I know that like you had recently gotten into the dating world prior to like David, but in between the other relationship. But me as a
Yeah.
younger person, in high school, in college, whatever, because I never had a boyfriend, but I would quote unquote be talking to somebody, and I'd always get dissed for somebody else or whatever. I don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just never understood the game of like you have to play hard to get and blah blah blah. I'm like, who has time for that shit? Like, I like you.
So that's the thing.
I go
I
ahead.
love that you said that because it talks about that, and I don't think I might have dog eared. I can't. Well, if you're not watching the thing, I highlighted so much in this book years ago, but it does talk about that. It's if you feel like you're playing a game, then you're doing it wrong. It needs to be authentic to you, right? You're not playing a game, but you're choosing self, and you're not like, for instance, this is something really silly that I remember years ago when I got the book and then I realized I did something. So I used to love watching Oprah, like the Oprah show. And that was back in the day where I didn't have it wasn't recorded. So I remember it was just like a thing that I did that I enjoyed. And my I want to say boyfriend at the time, who then became my husband or fiance, I don't remember, wanted to do something. And he was like, oh, I want to come over and da 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 da. And I was like, oh, okay, even though I don't remember what the episode was, but I was looking forward to this episode and I really wanted to watch it. But I put that to the side because last minute all of a sudden he was available. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds like fun. Val right now? Hell no. I mean, obviously we can record and whatever, but no, like if I had something planned and like you, like a workout or something that's really important to me or that I was really looking forward to, and something last minute kind of came up, I'm going to be like, oh, cool, cool. We can do it in an hour, like when this is over, because I already had this planned. I already was really looking forward to it. So that's the nice girl. Like that's so you're not playing a game because you still care, you still want to do these things, but you're making sure not to put yourself on the back burner.
That makes so much sense because when I think of games, it's like, and maybe these are immature games, but it's that stupid stuff where like so and so texts me, oh, I have to wait at least 2 hours before I respond, or you have to wait a
Oh
day before
yes.
you can call them, and it's like, that's exhausting. Not exhausting, it's just stupid. If you
It
have the
is.
urge to call me because I'm on your mind, please call me. And yes, there is such a thing as being overwhelming and too much, especially in the beginning. So in that sense, yeah, you don't want to smother somebody. I just never understood like the excess games of this many days, or if he has to text first, I can't text first, and blah blah blah. I'm like, who made these rules up? Anyways.
Yeah, no, to go with what I said, this in one of the chapters it says, if you allow your rhythm to be interrupted, you'll create a void. Then, to replace what you give up, you'll start to expect and need more from your partner.
Um,
It says the bitch does not stop moving to her own rhythm, which is so true because once you start you built like little resentments, right? Like once you start giving up certain things, it's like, well, I did this for you, or I would have X, Y, or Z, and he never or she never, and that built-in resentment starts like that's when like the energy shifts. I feel like, and you stop becoming less of you.
yeah. Been there, definitely been there. It's interesting. I've been there and I've also been on the receiving end of I can tell somebody resents me and they don't tell me that, if that makes sense. Or maybe I'm
How
me.
do you? How did you
How
see
did
that, or how?
just like lack of, for lack of better words, intimacy. And when I say intimacy, I don't necessarily mean sex, but just like in the
Sexy.
relationship, there's just certain things where I know I don't like doing this thing that you love to do. So why would I do it? I don't,
Mm.
you know what I mean? And I don't know. So I think after a while there was resentment over of just certain things I was or not willing to do. Um,
I wanted to touch on so we know, okay, why men love bitches, why women are attracted to d-bags. And so in that connotation, obviously it sounds very negative, but I think it all really boils down to confidence. Now, with that said, at least for me, I'm very attracted to confidence and somebody who knows what they want, like,
mhm.
and has a good sense of self. But it's a really fine line, and I want to know what you think about this, because there is like a hair. If there's a hair of arrogance, I'm like turned off. Nope,
Yeah.
I don't want it. Like I don't know what it is. Like it's and obviously I was talking to my boyfriend about it. We were watching some show. Actually, we were watching Love Is Blind, and one of the guys was like just super overly confident, blah blah blah. And he's like, yeah, but if it was a woman doing that, especially right now, people would be like, yeah, girl, own your power, da 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 da. And I was like, yes, that is the movement now, but that doesn't change how I feel. And then like seconds later, a girl was like, I'm amazing, and da da da. And I was like, see, ill. That's
Yeah.
disgusting to me too. So it doesn't matter what sex is, you know, doing it. I just think, you know,
I think,
I always like to say a quiet confidence is so attractive.
yes, there is confidence, there's certainty, and then there's arrogance,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so
So
it's like,
what differentiates that then? For
um,
you, I don't know, like what would you, because I don't know. I don't know if I can pinpoint it.
okay, so I've been with dudes that were very confident, even like physically confident. They were not afraid to be the not aggressor, but the initiator of things. Like I appreciate somebody who's willing to go after what they want. They can take no for no, but they can also take a playful no and register that and be like, she's just playing hard to get. And I'm gonna chase her, but in a respectful way. Um,
Sure.
so I appreciate that. Or somebody who is good at something and they continue to do it because they know they're good at something, or maybe they can help you with something because they're good at it, but it's not like, because I'm the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I worked with somebody. I did whatever, he's not gonna listen to this, but I did a F1, the F Formula One races, and I got
Oh
paired.
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, I got paired with a DP, which is a director of the camera guy for layman's terms. And goodness gracious, like I could not wait for the job to be over. I'm like, this dude, like he owns his own company, so he feels like everything he knows what's right. Forget your opinion. Like,
Mm.
I know what's right. This is what's right. This is what's right. And oh, this girl, she tried to talk to me, and I was like, psh. Like stuff like that.
Ew.
Yeah, when you need to talk about yourself and how good you are at something, that's arrogance. When you can't listen to somebody because you think your opinion is always correct and you're not open to somebody else's opinion, or the fact that maybe you are wrong, prove me wrong. But if you're not open,
Right.
so that's the type of stuff that there's a difference. And at the same time, I've been with people who were not super confident. And at first it's cute as far as like somebody who's you you see it as humble and you're like, oh, that's sweet. Like that person doesn't realize they're good looking. Okay, that's fine. But then when that
Mhm.
translates more into that person is not willing to take initiative because of their lack of confidence, then you're like,
Mhm.
okay, now I'm doing all the work or all the initiating. And do you even like me? I can't tell because now I'm the one who somehow I ended up chasing you. And then that's how I
Yeah.
somehow probably became the doormat, or I don't know, you know? Like I was doing too
If
much.
you had to choose, what what would you if you had if it was one or the other?
What are my,
The
wait,
D
wait.
bag, the confident
Okay.
D bag,
Uh-huh.
or the super shy, doesn't initiate humble guy?
Oof. Can I choose myself?
No,
Dang it.
one or the other. You have to make a choice.
If I had to make a choice, then I'd have to go
You
with the
have to make a choice.
shy, humble guy. I will take that over a guy who thinks that he's just God's gift.
God's gift.
That's too much.
We
Yeah,
both
yeah,
say.
yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I think I do the shy humble guy because I feel like I'd have some influence on helping him, like building him up.
Yeah.
Like with if somebody's up here, I mean, there's no bringing them down.
Although I
Maybe
love, okay, do you
unless life.
remember? We did an episode with James LaRosa, and that aired recently. And one of the things that James said about his new person is that he loved that he never had to pick that person up. Like he didn't need to be his spouse, for lack of better words. He didn't need to be his spouse's life coach. And that clicked with me so much because I can't tell you how
Ooh,
many
I don't
guys.
remember that. What?
Yeah, he was describing his new man, and I was like, I can't tell you how many women go into relationships, myself included, where we're trying to life coach somebody. Like we see the potential, and so we're just like, oh, I can
Mm,
just help him with his career by motivating him, or I can help him with his confidence in this, or maybe I can help him get a little bit more fit. Like I know he wants to be fit, but he doesn't know how, and I'm really good at it, so I can help him. And so now I'm at a point where I just meet somebody who is like, he's got all the things. Like, sure, he wants to grow a little bit and I will ever be evolving too, but I don't want to life coach anybody. I don't want to be your sunshine. Yes, I want to be your sunshine, but I want you to be my sunshine too.
yes, yes. Do not fall in love with somebody's potential. That is like if I could like plaster that to like women and men everywhere. Like
Right.
honestly, that if I could choose one sentence of this episode or of like the golden ticket of advice, that would be it.
Yeah.
Do not fall in love with someone's potential.
No.
Like if they get better from where you met, amen, hallelujah, good for you. Let's celebrate. But what you see right now, if you can't live with that, I mean, if monogamy and marriage and blah 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 is your thing, if you're not okay, walk away.
Yeah. You know what?
Am I
Okay,
rhyming now?
hold on, Val. So I had this conversation again. I spent this weekend hosting an event with this guy named Freddie, right? And Freddie and I are good friends. And so we travel to some of the most remote places in America. Like stuff that you feel like went back in time or you're in a movie because you just did not realize that people still live that way. No offense, just different. And so a lot of people like hygiene is not a thing. There's young kids in their 20s with teeth that are like covered in plaque and just like
Where?
middle America. I'm not gonna say because I just came from there.
Okay,
I'll just
okay. Ugh,
leave it at
okay.
that. But like they're too young. Like you're not even old enough to have that much plaque on your teeth. I'm really confused. But just greasy hair, da da da. Just don't take. And that's just what they're taught. Point is, but a lot of these young kids are running around. One specifically walked up to Freddie because he was like, "You're so sassy," and she's like, "Well, my man likes it." And she held up her ring with her diamond on it, and I'm looking around at all these girls that I'm meeting, especially at the like pre-VIP party to these events, young women with all these kids that I'm like, first of all, that's you're too young to be having that many kids, but not my place to judge. Second of all, I'm looking at Freddie. I'm like, okay, I'm this and this age. I'm like wondering, like, what the is wrong with me? Like all these women, and that's I hate to do the comparison thing, but I'm like, you don't bathe and you don't clearly brush your teeth, but you can find a man, and what is wrong with me? And Freddie was like, I love you. He's like, Allie, I love you. You are impossible to marry. And here's why. And I was like,
Oh, wait a minute.
yeah, I'm like, oh, okay.
Hold on. Okay, I want to know what the hell. First
Because
of all, I wish I was there to see your face.
I
When
mean,
he
I
told
was like, ah. And at the same time, I go, well, yeah, I guess he's right. But
What
he's
did he say?
no, I'm not in a mean way, but he's like, you're too ambitious. Like it's too much. Like you're always on the go. You're always doing something. You're always pursuing something. A lot of dudes just can't handle that. You're not willing to like relax, sit down and just have like a marriage or a life or like you're always, he's like, that's really hard for a dude to marry. Like it just is. And then you're traveling and doing
That
all
is
the things.
very interesting. I definitely want to say that's obviously not every man. I feel like plenty of men would want a woman who is ambitious and is a go-getter and that he doesn't feel like he has to take care of, you know.
Mhm.
Or what I've heard some men say is, especially in the dating world right now, like some women are very privileged and feel like, they're playing the game. Like, I want you to take me out, wine and dine me, da 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 da. Like, you're not that girl. Like, you can do it yourself. Do we want it? Do we like, put it out there to get? Yes, but you don't take advantage of people,
No, no.
and you won't ever. That is so interesting that he would say that, and I mean, fellas out whoever's listening, and we'd love to get your opinion on, is that a thing? A woman who's too ambitious? Is it fear that you? And this is what my first thought. I'm like, what does Freddie look like? What does his
He's
career look like?
Oh, he does well. He makes lots of money. He's a hard worker. He's just as ambitious. That's the thing is he's just as ambitious, and he's got 4 kids and a wife, and his
And
ambition.
what does his wife do? Do
She's
we
a
know?
housewife. He makes all the
See,
money.
that's
He
it.
he has to
That's
be.
it. That's
She,
it, though. Here's the thing. Some men, though, and we're generalizing people
mhm,
clearly,
mhm.
but some men, I feel, and from my experience, we'll just talk about our personal experiences, is if they do not feel needed, they do not feel comfortable. If
Mm.
they're with somebody who, and actually, we're gonna have a guest on the show, a girlfriend of mine. I'm not gonna say her name just so we don't get specific with this situation, but her ex-husband was definitely this guy where he needed to feel like she needed him.
Mhm.
And as soon as he saw that she didn't and she was doing a-okay without your little cheating ass, then he felt some kind of way. And it's like that's when it hit his ego that she wasn't coming back. And it's like, bro, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
But those type of people feel like they need
to be.
somebody to need them, to want them, to almost manipulate. Ooh,
Yeah,
dare I
yeah,
say? But yes,
yeah. I mean, and that's not Freddie. Like his wife stays at home.
no,
They
and
have
I'm not
four
saying
kids.
Freddie's.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I understand that. I guess, and I've been told this throughout my life that some men are uncomfortable with women who are twofold, right? That's the whole women who go for toxic men that was in that article. It was talking about women who are super ambitious and they have a lot of money. Not that I'm that person, but will be. That allows the guy to be a little bit more lazy because she's the provider, she's the take care, and he's okay with that. But then on the other spectrum, if I am looking for a man who's also ambitious and all these things, that man could be uncomfortable with me giving him a run for his money, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
You
could
know,
be.
or if I outperform him and that's a bruise
Hmm.
to his ego.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And going back to this book, in I do feel like you have had in the past doormat tendencies, and doormat again is just somebody who is just super nice, to reiterate, and is a giver. It's constantly a giver.
Mhm.
But I also feel like you're very, in your essence, as like a strong, independent, hardworking woman, you are that bitch, like, and so I feel like it's going to take the right man to see you for who you are, and for you to be able to be like, oh, okay, this is a good balance. I'm not falling in love with the potential. I'm
Mhm.
not giving up what I love, and he gets it, and he almost what was I going to say, encourages it,
Mhm.
which is huge.
I think here's the hypocrisy about me is that
Give it to us.
I love the idea of being with somebody who's like super generous and nice and does gifts like just for the sake of gifts, or like outings and surprise dates and like big grand gestures or vacations. But I have a hard time receiving those things because then I feel guilty that someone has like spent XYZ amount of money on me, especially if they're not in a
Yeah.
space and place where they can and they're not wealthy, because when you date somebody who is not financially abundant and they do give you something, even if it's small, and you should always be grateful, right? But then it becomes like this over gratitude of like, oh my gosh, like this person got me these things and it's so great, da, da, da. And then like I said, your expectations of receiving are so low. And it's great that I can be happy about these things, but then I can turn around, not that we should be comparing. And Val, you and I have had this conversation before, I
Hmm.
think on other podcasts, about how like some of the grand gestures you've had people do for you, whether it be like a vacation for your birthday and da da da. And I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
well, shit, I've never gotten anything like that before,
Hmm.
you know? So yeah.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know. That's tricky. And I've had a lot of conversations with my current boyfriend about that. Because I have I have had a little bit of everything, right? Where I was um the one who made more money in a relationship. Then I was in a relationship where I was completely fully taken care of, everything paid, you know, princess life. And then I've been in a relationship where it's just kind of equal. You're both kind of, hustling, doing your thing, and equal little surprises or whatever. So they, I mean, what they all feel very different. And it's like, if I had to choose, as independent as I am, and like as successful as I've been on my own, it felt really nice to be taken care of. And I don't mind saying that. Like, I feel like now, like, being able to say that, to be like, oh yes, I would love for, now listen, I'll never be a stay-at-home mom. More power to you all. And the only reason I say that is because I go crazy bananas. Like, I can't handle it. It's too much work. That's why I say that. Not because I think it's not a lot of work. I say it because of the opposite.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't want to be that, like, sitting on the couch, whatever. No kids, because that's my current situation. No kids, just being taken care of, doing nothing. I'd be too bored.
Hmm.
But I learned to be on the receiving end and got really just more comfortable with it. And it was nice to get that. And I think, and I hope that once you get more comfortable with receiving and not feeling guilty about it,
Hmm.
you're going to love it.
But okay, so then what do you do in reciprocation, right? So it's like if the roles were reversed, because then we look down on a woman who is the breadwinner and her dude is just like living
Who's we?
life.
Who looks down on
We,
the
I'm I'm sorry, as a societal whole,
Okay,
we might judge a guy,
sure, the stay-at-home
you know,
dad.
yeah, not even a stay-at-home dad. There are no kids. There's just a
Okay,
girl who's
just
a breadwinner, who's a hustler, who's a CEO, who's clawed her way to the top.
yeah,
He's taking care of her dude, and he's just sitting around enjoying his best life. And because it's opposite roles,
totally.
women like us as women have been. It's okay to be taken care of, but what if the woman takes care of the
Yes.
man? Then we judge the man for being
Here's
lazy.
the thing, and hell, absolutely, and I'm so happy you brought that up because do you, boo? Because if 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 that is the understanding of the relationship, and the woman's like, nah, I want to take care of my man. When I get home, like the house is impeccable. He rubs my feet, like whatever,
Hmm.
that's amazing. I just think if there's an understanding between both people and an acceptance of like expectations of and not an acceptance of expectations, clarity, I guess, of
Hmm.
expectations, um then it's perfect. That's how you find your person. um and I hate to go back to Love Is Blind, but we're watching this show, and I mean, I love it because Maddie covers all these shows, but it's so fun to see people meeting each other in dynamics. And like there's a specific couple in the season we're watching now that I'm like, no, love, no, this is a total bro, like super like outgoing, crazy, energetic man, and this like very soft-spoken, professional Asian girl. Um, I was like, never, it's never gonna work. And they're amazing together because she accepts him for who he is and loves the living shit out of his crazy ass. And I would be like, I could never be with somebody like that. And
Yeah.
he thinks she's so gorgeous and quiet and whatever. I love it. And I mean, it's an old season, so I'm sure people know what I'm talking about. But yes, the what is it? The stereotypes, the reversal of how we see people, like the bitch or the douche.
Hmm.
Um, it goes both ways. It
Yeah.
goes both ways. But
Okay,
as long
so
as you're being true to yourself,
okay, so we have like 60 seconds left. Give me like your best like two or three tips on how to be a bitch, but in a good way.
how to not be the doormat. I learning yourself, like first and foremost, learning yourself, knowing what you love, what makes you you, what's important to you, your core values, and never ever swaying from that for anybody else.
Mm.
The end. Like choose understanding your joy
Hmm.
and sticking to that, no matter who comes in and out of your life. What about you?
Oh, you read the book and I didn't, so I'm not one to give advice on how
No,
to.
but this isn't from the book just for you, like
Oh my God, I've
for
left
our
2 minutes.
listeners.
I don't. I would say same thing. I would never ever give up my dream for a dude. Like despite whatever, not getting enough out of something in a relationship or not. Never give up your dreams for somebody. And if you've talked to somebody and you've told them what your needs are and they still can't meet your needs, then it's time to reevaluate. So that's it.
Yes, I love it.
Okay. Well, we love you
Thank
guys
you
for
for
running.
listening, y'all.
Yes, yes, yes. But mwah, mwah, mwah. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
I meant, let bitches
Yes.
check it out.